All right, we're back. You're dry. We won. Another shitty team goes down, and the Bills get a W.
Hey, I got a Bills jersey on. Like I said, I don't care if they win by 2 points. But they had a nice win. They won against a bad team. I went to the game. It was a really nice game to be at. I mean, there's 8 million gallons of water came down in the stadium. It had to be one of the worst games ever as far as weather. I mean, I've been to cold games. The coldest game ever, they won against the Jets a few years ago. The Oakland Raiders game that was 90 degrees below zero. We won both those games. But it was just, it rained during the national anthem, probably the hardest. And it rained so hard that I didn't want to take my hat off. I think it's the first time I didn't take my hat off during the national anthem. It was pouring. And then throughout the game, it never really poured that hard again. But it just kept coming down. And maybe for a 5-minute period, it stopped the whole entire game. And you still weren't sure if it stopped because you're totally soaking wet.
Right.
Even when I got back home and grabbed all my stuff out of the car, it was still just dripping. I had to come and hang it all up. But that's Rich Stadium for you. That's Buffalo. But it's 50-degree weather. It's global warming. You got to like it in Buffalo, right?
Right. Well, but it was reflective in the stats. I mean, it was a running game. There was not really any passing. I mean, there was.
Yeah. I don't know.
There were some things, but
I think
accurate.
Jimmy Kelly could have been able to throw the ball in. But I don't know if Fitzpatrick's throw. He threw a 51-yard pass to T.J. Graham. We'll take a look at that. One of the first things right here. One of the things you'll notice, too, that T.J. Graham catches it running backwards and running.
Yeah, a little behind him, kind of on the back shoulder.
To Fitzpatrick's defense, I mean, it was pouring rain. It just did not stop, and he completed it. Just the fact they completed, got all the way down to the 1, and then he punched it in himself right here right afterwards. Right. But here's a guy, and I'm going to go back to a quote from me. I see if I'll pull it from last week's quote. What was the recipe for winning? I said Troy Aikman was 11 for 17. Well, we'll see what I said right here. And
well, just keep handing the ball off. It's not that hard. If the coach just figure that out.
The Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, 17 for 11. 11 for 17 passing, 100-yard rusher. 30 times give him the ball. 26 times. That's the recipe for winning football games. We ran the ball 45 times total.
39 calls.
Yeah.
You planned runs, I believe it was, something like that.
And Fitzpatrick
took off.
So we had the quarterback was 9 for 17 for 112, and he got 51 of them on one play. Right. So the other 8 completions, he got about 50 yards.
Well, actually, no, it must have been more because Spiller 14 carries, Jackson 25, Fitz had the keeper, so that's 40 runs, and then Brad Smith had 2 runs.
Had 2. They said,
that's 42 planned runs.
And they listed Fitzpatrick for 5 runs, and I know he had the keeper, and I think he went back to pass and scrambled out and got a first down.
Yeah, he took off a couple things. He's running right into guys because he's just.
He got hammered. I wish we could show that one. I don't think we have the file. Boy, it was loud, and I was at the 50-yard line again. Beautiful tickets, thanks to my buddy Philip Abramowitz. 50 yards up, we got the best seats in the house, and when he got hit, you could hear it. I mean, it was loud. Same thing when who's that defensive back? Brooks, yeah.
Brooks.
He crushed that Cecil Shorts, I think. It's Cecil Shorts, God bless him. He had a beautiful day. They were calling his name all day. He had 7 receptions. Their Malarkey had his quarterback throw the ball 41 times, couldn't run the ball. I mean, that's the recipe for losing a game. I mean,
why would you keep throwing the ball? I mean, it seems silly. Well, I mean, he was silly when he was here.
He had his 4th string running backs in there. They didn't have Drew Jones.
Yeah,
Maurice Drew Jones.
Maurice Jones-Drew. He's been gone for a while.
He's their star. They had a guy playing. They had guys in there that just signed on Tuesday. So we had guys that they just signed on Tuesday. Got their backup quarterback, Chad Henning. I mean, just the name Chad. Would you expect him to do any better?
Yeah, I mean, what that is a country in Africa, I think.
So I think those little things that they knock out of the things when you vote and the little Chads pop out, but yeah. So we played the worst team in the NFL, and they played and they looked like it, and we beat them up.
Yeah, it was we had the rain and everything, so you're not going to have the most.
But let's go back to the formula for winning. They were wonderful as you think about the running. I mean, one running back had 77 yards, and he had a beautiful 44-yard touchdown. It's Spiller.
Sure.
And the other running back carried it how many times?
25 times, 109 yards.
25 times, 109 yards. That's the freaking key. I mean, it's nice to take 25-yard carries because it hammers the clock. We had 35 minutes of possession. They had 25 minutes. It keeps your defense fresh on the sidelines, ready to come in and attack their quarterback or whatever they got to do. It's probably better to get 109 yards on 25 carries than get it on 2 carries. It's better to do it that way. You just ground it into them, and everyone seems to think that Jackson's the better back to be the grinding back, but I still say give that other kid, C.J. Spiller, the ball 25 times, and maybe he'll pop a couple of those 40-yarders. Look at this run right here. It's a beautiful friggin' run. What about Spiller?
Well, I mean, he looked good, clearly, and they didn't throw the ball a lot, so neither of them really had a lot of catches. They didn't do a lot of those screen passes or anything silly like that.
But I'm just saying this particular type of run where he's able to get 40 yards on a play, and you give it to him 7 or 8 times, and he gets 2 yards. He runs around, he gets tackled for a loss for 3, and then all of a sudden, pop, he's in the end zone.
Right.
I mean, if you don't give it to him 27 times, you'll never know.
I'm thinking if Jacksonville gets up by 10 points, Gailey doesn't do that, though. I think he starts going to the pass because he just, his wiring starts freaking out, and he can't handle it. But luckily, we kept him in check. They had a little bit of a lead, 3 points, and then we came right back, and Mario had the strip sack, which you see right here.
Oh, yeah, that's so beautiful.
And, he was coming around the edge. I mean, I don't think their line is very good, but you have to handle the bad teams if you're going to get up there. So,
have you looked recently at where we are in the league? I mean, we've really had a couple of strong defensive games statistically.
Defense. I mean, we must still be in the bottom half.
We must be in the bottom half. We must have moved up a little bit with these nice, strong games, though.
I would have to think so.
I mean, certainly they've won 2 of the 3 of the last games. They probably could have beat Indianapolis, could have won all 3. I was at the Buffalo Quarterback Club today. I met Isaiah Robinson. I shook his hand. I told him he was one of my favorite players. I said Buddy Nix got to speak, and he says, hey, you know what? I think he knows it's not perfect. And he says, I just, in the last 10 years, you've had 5 coaches and countless number of offensive coordinators. Every time you blow the whole thing up, you got to start over from scratch, and you're going backwards. We feel like we're moving forward. Our defensive line has been very strong. Our offensive line is getting better. We have really good running backs. He didn't really mention the quarterback, and lately in the press, he's talked about we need a new quarterback. He understands that, but who is there to go in right now? We don't have somebody else other than this guy to put in. So what's it worth talking about if you don't have that guy here to put in? And he says what we really need is like a Larry Fitzgerald type of a receiver that can go up and catch the ball even when he's not open. You just throw it to him while he's open or not, and he takes it away from the defender. And if we had that guy on the other side and had Stevie on the inside, Stevie would catch 80 balls. And he says I think he knows the linebackers are pretty weak, and he says you can never have too many cornerbacks. So we're already kind of looking forward to the friggin' draft and what he's going to do, because at 5-7, and
mathematically we're in it, but we're not really in it.
We're 2 games behind Pittsburgh and Cincinnati.
And Indianapolis might as well have the first wild card
3
spot.
games ahead, and they got the Tiger for 4. So basically, they have to lose all 4 of their games, and we have to win all 4 of our games.
Pittsburgh, they said they have to lose 2.
No, but Indianapolis.
Oh, Indianapolis pretty much has it. In my estimation.
They have to lose all the rest of their games, and we'd have to win all the rest of our games.
I don't agree with Nick's there, though, about that. Just getting the tall wide receiver. I think a good quarterback makes receivers good. And if you look at Fitzgerald, which is the guy that he used as an example, he's down there. He's just dying in Arizona because they don't have a quarterback. And maybe Fitzpatrick is better than some of the guys they got, but I don't even know. I don't know if he's better than that Kolb, or I don't know what they got going on. I know they have a mess going on there. We beat them. Any team that we have beaten.
No, but he was just saying, what's their wish list? I mean, who is he going to draft? He obviously says they're going to draft a quarterback. He wants to have a quarterback in place that'll be the quarterback for the next 8 or 10 years, So
we all do, yeah.
So
sure.
well, that's the daydream, and we always, ever since we lost Jim Kelly, we've been looking for the next Jim Kelly. And before we had Jim Kelly, we were looking for the first Jim Kelly. For the first, every other quarterback, you got to say is. I guess Ferguson had a pretty good run.
Yeah, but
here.
if you look at him, it was a different league, though. You almost can't even compare. When Kelly played, that was really the first start of the modern era, and those type of quarterbacks really changed the game. Whereas back then, I mean, guys were throwing 40% and didn't even matter. You know,
some people say the modern era started in 1970. 1970.
Well, the Super Bowl.
Well, the Super Bowl came
era.
in '68. But they didn't actually have a real merger until 1970.
Right, 70,
so it was like our league, the
yeah.
AFL. We're AFL. I love the AFL. The AFL against the hated NFL. And you know, the 2 years before that, we won the AFL championship. The Buffalo Bills were the world champions as far as I'm concerned. We were better than the NFL. I wish the Super Bowl would have started 2 years earlier, 1964, when we were really in our prime. And we would have won the first two Super Bowls. And
we'd be the best team ever.
Yeah,
you know, it'd be fun.
And the Super Bowl trophy would be called the Lou Saban Trophy right now. You know, instead of the Vince Lombardi. It should be, in a parallel universe, it should be the Lou Saban Trophy we're playing for this year, not the Vince. If they win those first two Super Bowls.
Right, all our lives would be different.
Yeah,
sure.
and then by the time the Super Bowl gets here, we're like at the edge of it. Just kind of have it's like it was the shell of our former team. We didn't have our great running back that we had in those early ones, Cookie Gilchrist. We would have crushed anybody that we played. We probably would have done a better job in Super Bowl I than Kansas City did, and Kansas City just had the game of their life.
35-7.
Yeah, and we had a more physical team that could have played that more physical game.
Yeah, it was actually
them.
67. Yeah. We won the 64-65, and we lost to the Chiefs in 66, and they played. And then
the following year, 68, we had the worst team in the NFL, and we picked O.J. Simpson with the #1 pick.
Well, for 2 years we did. We picked him in 69.
Yeah, so it's all fast.
We traded away Daryl and Monica.
End of it. Yeah, we were at the very end of the peak. But okay, I'm digressing too far back.
And then the quarterback. One last thing though, the quarterback we traded away played in the second Super Bowl. Daryl and Monica.
Yeah.
Who had a great arm, and we really would have liked him. We would like him right now, frankly.
Absolutely.
Probably
We
get him
like
out of the old
anybody
folks'
other
home.
than Fitzpatrick. And talk about the old folks' home. Chan Gailey, I don't know why they let him out every Sunday, but they let him out again this past Sunday. And you know, can he figure out who's the best player? And for some reason, he picks this guy out from Seattle and doesn't even play him, doesn't give him a chance to get in the game. He doesn't want to have any kind of controversy.
He should at least be on the sideline. It's silly.
Have somebody to push this guy.
Someone said that if he's on the something about if he dresses a certain amount of games, he gets like an extra however much money. But you can't coach.
I don't know if it's
with
the
your
money.
bank check. You
it's
can't
the money,
coach
and I think Seattle too gets another higher pick.
Okay, maybe that was it too.
But who else? I mean, my question is, how good is Gailey at all the little things? Again, we say we pick out real important stuff like why doesn't he kick a field goal from 34 yards? Why doesn't he run the ball into the line more? But why, for me, here we got a nice run back from the kid, Marcus Easley. He gets in the game. He's been inactive all year long. He's barely touched the field. Stevie comes out. He's holding his hamstring. He says, I'm hurt. They put in Ruvel Martin. I want to say Ruvel effing Martin. But Ruvel, if you're listening out there, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but we got a young kid. We're up by 3 touchdowns. He looks like Michael Irvin, this guy. He's got a body that's 6'4" or something.
Sure, he's a big guy.
Fast on that kickoff return. He ran for 51 yards. Just send him long a couple times and see what he does. Send him over the middle and see if he outmuscles the ball from somebody.
Sure, he looks almost like a tight end, but he runs super fast, right?
You're up by 3 touchdowns. Your record's 5-7. This kid, for the next 5 games, should be in the lineup. Especially they got your second string's out, Donald Jones. If your first string's got a hamstring problem, don't put Ruvel Martin in there and this Brad
waste of time.
Smith. These guys are not wide receivers. They're not going to be full-time wide
Plus,
receivers.
if you're already winning, why not give this kid some playing time? He's only going to get better with playing time. It's the only thing that's going to make anyone better. It's the only thing that made Spiller better. It's the only thing that made anyone
better. Yeah. And so they put him in with 1:23 and they hand the ball off 3 times and then they kneel on it. I mean, what good is that? That's the other thing. On these running plays, they got T.J. Graham going out in motion, then coming into the line, and then having him dive into the line. All he does is kind of roll around and get stepped on. He can't block.
He might get hurt, too. He's little, 200 pounds.
Just send him out on a bomb. They got to have 3 guys covering him. You know, why ask him to come? You come in motion and make a block. All those defensive backs it just brings more guy into the
Plus, if the safety, if they think it's going to be a run and he sneaks down, Fitzpatrick can, audible it out and then throw deep and, try to throw deep and hopefully get some action there.
I know. Nick said today, everyone works about play calling. When they work, we're a genius. When they don't work, that's the same thing Marv Levy said, dude. When they don't work, we don't know what they're talking about. Tell us what plays to call before Sunday, not after Sunday. Because anybody can call them the next day afterwards. But just simple, some things to me just don't make sense. I don't know. The kicker got to kick a 50-yard.
Outside, and even if the wind wasn't blowing, which is what I heard, it's still everything's all wet, and the wind didn't help him either. So it's not like he got the wind to carry it, and the kid, he's a 35-year-old man, he can kick the ball a field goal. I mean, just let him do it, whatever it is, and it's a lot better. Who cares? That's the Indianapolis game. It's over. So
yeah, well, but I think that it definitely came over to this game, and he was thinking about it because there was a fourth down inside the 30, and he went for it, and we got stopped. In fact, they drove all the way down and got a touchdown. And then it was a 50-yarder, and he didn't punt it, and he said, go in there and let's kick one and see what happens. And he kicks it. So maybe give everybody a little bit more confidence next time they get in that situation.
Sort of running out of time here. I wanted to, since the season, I mean, hey, if we get into the playoffs, fine. I think it's going to be a miracle.
Yeah, a miracle.
But for this time, we're always going to be looking ahead, and one of the things we're looking ahead at is some of the younger players that are coming up and what we're sort of looking at, and players that are looking like all pros, and their contracts are expiring.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we'll start from the top down.
We'll start with McKelvin. He's not coming back, it doesn't look like. And they put that other kid in there to run back kicks, run back punts. And
all right,
all
so now we don't even need him.
Yeah, well, yeah. He fumbles. He was good at fumbling the ball.
Oh, that Justin Rogers did,
Justin
right?
Rogers, yeah.
Yeah, forget him.
For running back punts.
They easily didn't do it, though.
Easily ran back a kick for 51 yards, so he's a guy for the future.
Because you think we're going to lose McKelvin?
I think we're going to lose McKelvin and Bird. I think any time, ask the Sabres about those Daniel Briere and who's that kid from New York City, and Drury. If you let them get to be a free agent their last year, there's no reason for them not to go out and test the market.
Right.
So at the end of this year, he's a free agent. He's going to go out there and whoever gives him the first contract, he's going to sign. So the Bills, if they haven't given it to him yet, aren't going to give it to him. So those guys are gone. Julius Bird, he's leading the AFL right now. The AFL, I'll stick with the AFL. He's leaving with the AFL right now in interceptions. He's got his fifth one for the year. The guy's a natural ball hawk. They should have him signed already.
Yeah, someone's going to give him $9 million a year.
Yeah,
we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do it. So same thing with Antoine Winfield. They let those guys go, and he's going to be playing for somebody else.
It's too bad because I like that Searcy. He's strong because George Wilson's will eventually be too old, and that would be a good 1-2 punch. The cornerbacks, Gilmore keeps getting better. And Brooks looked good, even though the penalties. He's so young. He's barely played.
He'll be a good one.
He's fast. They look almost similar. They got the hair
Aaron
coming down.
Be lucky to get on the field. All right, 17 minutes. So
that's kind of
one more thing, real quick. Excuse me. Puslowski gets an interception, gets 9 tackles. He's over 100 for the year. Our defensive backs led our team again in tackles. We had Brooks had 9 tackles, the guy we're talking about, 9 tackles, and Wilson had 5. Everybody else had 3 or under. Our linebackers are virtually non-existent out there. They're barely tackling anybody. And everyone gave Paz such a hard time. Get rid of him. He's tackling everybody 8 yards down the field. I would love to have him as our linebacker right now.
Yeah, $6 million a year isn't that crazy amount of money. Who even cares? Who cares about
somebody?
Money? It's not my money. I don't give a shit.
Get somebody that could play in the tackle. That's all. I don't care. If you can't put a guy in there who's going to make 10 tackles, let's do it. Okay, that's my tirade. Got my Bills jersey on. Next week we play the Rams. The Rams, I guess, have been playing pretty good football lately.
If we beat them, they're a team that we're kind of on the same tier with. They're about the same record, and they're actually getting high. They just beat San Francisco, which is their main rival. That's like their New England.
And we got crushed by San Francisco. So
they're coming here.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we can do.
If we beat that game, it'll be definitely a sign that we're on the rise, I think. And then we got Seattle and Toronto. That kid that we traded away,
Marshawn Lynch, who run us right up.
They're talking
the ass,
about
probably.
today. Well, they were talking about today. He's MVP character. He's over 1,000 yards. He's running down the ball down throat. If we can keep him under 150 yards, we should be doing good.
150 yards.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And then you got the Dolphins and the Jets. Every year they beat up on us.
We could win every game.
We could have won every game so far, except for those 2 games that they had 700 yards against us. But,
700 more than that, 1,000 yards.
Well, yeah, total. I was just
total.
joking. I was saying one game they had 600 for one, and they had 500 the other. New England and the
feels like another time, but
okay, we'll
move along. Hopefully, Bills at home, 3 home games if you count the Toronto, and we'll see what happens.
Go Bills. Go Sabres. If the Sabres might play someday.